الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى صحبه. Assalamu alaikum. I'm very happy to be back. I hope we all benefit. I think there's an idea that we should do Ihya one week and fiqh the next, so we'll see how it goes, inshallah. So last time we started with the book of Al-Ilm, and I was just going to go through the breakdown of Ihya Ulumuddin very quickly. It's been summarized in 2 pages here. So the first ruba', it's called ruba', the quarter. So the four parts. The first part is the part of al-ibadat. So the ilm, the knowledge, is really part of the ibadat. And then there is rub'u al-adat. We'll see what that means. Al-adat is really the al-mu'amalat. You'll see where we're going with that. The third piece is al-muhlikat and then al-munjiyat. Very simple. So the third part is the things. So he teaches us the things that are the perils of the soul, and then he teaches us how to repair them and how to. So the first one, al-ilm or al-ibadat, starts with al-ilm, which we have spoken about, and we are moving, inshallah, very slowly into al-ibadat. So it is really the portion that speaks about al-ibadat. And that has to do with asrar al-tahara, asrar al-aqaid, asrar al-salah. So the mysteries, the things that we don't see straight on, it's things that are hidden. So those are the al-ibadat. It speaks about, it's beautiful because it goes through all the ibadat, like al-zakah, al-salah, al-sawm, al-hajj, al-tahara, even recitation of the Quran, al-adhkar, and he goes very deeply into the adhkar, what forms of adhkar are recommended to do during the day and the night. Like some of the scholars, when they speak about al-adhkar, you wonder how much time, how is it possible that they have that much time? I tried reading once al-adhkar of a scholar, and it literally took 3 hours, and I wasn't halfway through. And they do it in the morning, and then they do it in the afternoon. So, anyways, he goes at length at the things that a person should read in the morning and the afternoon. And then rub'u al-adat, and that has to do with al-mu'amalat. Really, al-adat are the things which we do every day. So a nikah, marriage, how we live, how we make transactions, signing contracts, how to deal with our employers, employees, how we do our business. It even covers al-ulfa wal-ukhuwa wal-suhba, because this is al-adat. So he combines all of these beautiful things. So al-ukhuwa, he speaks at length about how we should find the right friends, and how to befriend them the rest of your life, and who are the best of those people, and so on. And then Rub'u al-Muhlikat speaks about it starts with the mysteries of the heart, al-ajaib al-qalb. So it's very, very, very intriguing, and he speaks of how the heart has weaknesses like our body. We go to the gym and we lack, let's say, back muscles. So we work on the back muscles. So whatever is weak, you have to work out, strengthen. So it speaks about those weaknesses of the heart, and how everyone has those weaknesses. The weaknesses of the tongue, or the dangers and the perils of the tongue. Shahwatain, the stomach and the private parts, and so on, and then it goes at length also about what we know very well, which is anger, jealousy, arrogance, and so on. And then it also speaks about what is the sources of all like dunya. We live in this dunya, so dunya is one of those the sources of those sicknesses. And so on. So many of them, and inshallah we'll go through them. I think I mentioned before that those perils in some books are here. He covers just a few. I believe it's 20 or 40. I don't remember exactly, but some scholars have covered them, and they've counted over 500. Others have counted over 1,000. So, and some of them are branches of each other. So it's very, they're all dealt here in details. And then it speaks about al-munjiyat, how we go about fighting those diseases of the heart. So, it speaks about patience, gratitude, having hope, being forbearant, forgiving, doing it in a way which is very healthy, not in a way which is terrible. Like sometimes when you're forgiving and you're not forgiving, you're just compressing your anger, and it gets you sick. It's toxic. So he shows how that's possible to do without being getting yourself sick, and how the Prophet ﷺ, how he was so forbearant, and then tawheed and tawakkul and so forth. And then he ends this portion of the book or this chapter with al-mahabba wal-shawq wal-ins wal-rida, and that's the relationship with Allah. So all of these things, this entire exercise of going through the 4 books, gets you to the point where you deal with Allah with love, and you become very yearning. You want to reach this has raised you to a level where you can now feel it. You're able to raise yourself because you're no longer bound by those restrictions. You're able to feel Allah, to get close to Him, and then that because of that you have shawq, you have, and then you even feel His presence, and you're so pleased with everything that happens to you. So you're able to overcome all of those problems, and then finally and all of that. Also, he concludes it with al-ikhlas was-sidq wal-muraqaba. Muraqaba is the highest level of ihsan. The hadith, as you know, and what's the hadith? Or the muraqaba? Wal-ihsan. What is the ihsan? كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. So you worship Allah as if you see Him, and you don't see Him, or because you don't see Him, know full well that He sees you. This is the muraqabah. You're always in His presence, in His state. Imagine if all of us, like Al-Ghazali says, if we're all in that state, we would not need the police or the government. We would be our own, we would be able to sustain all of those problems. We would have no wars. We would have ihsan. Everything which is excessive, we would share. So this is al-muraqaba. Wat-tafakkur, and then here it's not just dhikr, is to reach a level where you are always in a state of being thoughtful, tafakkur about everything that goes on in your life and the reasons for that. So this is in brief what the book of Ihya is all about. And it's been a revolutionary book, and I've spoken to you before about where he has inspired himself from. Qushayri, Risal al-Qushayriya. I think some scholars have said that he has been inspired from there. That's okay, alhamdulillah. Scholars learn from each other. So I'm going to go jump through different parts of the book. Again, I ask Allah, Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. It's hard to prepare, because you think that you have a Sunday, and then now, mashallah, I'll be going through the whole, and everything happens. Get phone calls, and so I read on the bus. I read something yesterday, alhamdulillah, some little parts. So I'm jumping right through al-wadha'if. And here he calls it al-wadhifa. Wadhifa is the job, or the purpose, or the characteristic. Sometimes it's the characteristic. In any case here, okay, so what is the purpose of knowledge? So we've spoken about knowledge, and basically what we need to know is fardu ayn. Correct? We remember that? Fard, which is upon you. So he says, أن يعلم نسبة العلوم إلى المقصد. So we've reached the 10th maqsad, or the 10th wadifa, and he's telling us that al-ilmu is linked to its purpose. So there is a purpose for knowledge. كما يؤثر الرفيع القريب على البعيد والمهم and so on. Let me just read this so I can remember what I've read. فالأهم يبقى أبد الآباد وكما نطق به القرآن وشهد له من نور البصائر ما يجري مجرى العيان فالأهم ما يبقى أبد الآباد وعند ذلك تصير الدنيا منزلا. So he gives us a place for everything. So the place of our body, the place of this dunya, the place of our purpose, the place of knowledge. So he says وعند ذلك تصير الدنيا منزلا. So this all dunya, if you look at your life, if you look at all of the stages of your life, you were a baby, and then you became a teenage, then you graduate, then you get married, you have children, and then you see everyone passing away, dying, which reminds me of the death of my uncle about 2 weeks ago. Very interesting, because my cousin gave a beautiful eulogy. He's not a Muslim, by the way, my uncle, and my cousins are not Muslim, but they're very, very intelligent, very smart, very ethical, and they've made me go through the entire manazil. So this is what we're talking. The entire dunya is a station, but your entire life is filled with stations. So it reminded me when I was a kid, when we used to go and play. I won't tell you which sports, and then what how we graduated, how we went through university, the challenges we've had, the fights I had in high school the first year. It was a tough high school, by the way, and no guns, no weapons, but it's a lot of fighting, and then university, and then marriage, and then the kids, and then you look at yourself in the mirror and you find what? Gray hair, right? And then all those people that die, and you never think about death because you're a young person, you're full of energy, you go to bed at night, you wake up in the morning. It's a new there's generations before you that passed away. So it's beautiful that, it was very heart-touching, but also very, inspiring, because this dunya, trust me, is a station. So he's telling you that this is وَعِنَّ ذَلِكَ تَصِرُ الدُّنْيَا مَنْزِلًا. So when you understand that this entire world, this entire life is a station of your existence from before. Yes.
So manazil is pretty much the cycle of life.
Station.
Oh, manazil is station.
As a station. When you go to Arab countries and they say this is من هنا النزلاء. What does that mean?
It's like a place where people were residers in a way.
Yeah, they reside for a short period. They're travelers. Okay, and that's also the name of the hotel. A hotel, manzil, is a hotel.
Yeah.
So you're just staying there for a night. And that's what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this dunya, when he saw that man underneath the tree, and he said, this is life. You're just passing under the tree. And he left. He just stayed there for just a little portion of the time. Just a little portion of his time. That's life. That's manzil. It's a passage. So, وَالْبَدَنُ مَرْكَبًا. As for your body, it is a vehicle. Rasulullah ﷺ was carrying Sayyidina al-Hasan on his back, and a companion said, مَا أَنْعَمَ الْمَرْكَبِ. What a beautiful vehicle. He told it to the Prophet ﷺ. And then he told him, مَا أَنْعَمَ الرَّاكِبِ. What a beautiful passenger. And there's an ishara there. There's like an indication that Rasulullah ﷺ, not our vehicles, hasha, but he is the source of our passage. And we are those who mount on that sunnah is the passage that he has provided us, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So, وَالدُّنْيا, he says, وَالدُّنْيا مَرْكَبًا وَالْأَعْمَالُ سَعْيًا إِلَى الْمَقْصَدِ. And our deeds, the thing that we do every day, is the journey of our end, whatever we do to achieve our purpose. وَلَا مَقْصَدَ إِلَّا لِقَاءِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. And there's no other purpose in all of this except meeting Allah. So we were, in the other world, and making tawaf under Al-Ash. Remember that? You know that story, right? It's in the Quran. That we were born from the loins. Allah wipes over the loins of Sayyidina Adam alayhi salam, and all of us were born. all the arwah were born, and then he told them, what's the question that he said to us? What's the question? Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? And we've all answered. Every single person, every single soul that was created says Bala. And apparently, in that same instance, we were told which one will be going to Hajj and Umrah. And our scholars have said, whoever said Labbaik is going to Hajj. And whoever says Labbaik, Labbaik, Labbaik will go 3 times. So it depends on how many times you said Labbaik is how many times you will go to Hajj. And then we traveled underneath Al-Arsh, and that's why the Prophet ﷺ Al-Arwahu Junudun Mujannada, this beautiful hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that we are troops. Al-Arwah are troops. We've traveled together, and those that met one another, and we have met one another underneath Arsh al-Rahman, making tawaf under the Arsh. Those that have met each other and have liked one another, when we met in this dunya after we were born, we like each other. When I see the face of this brother, I feel peace, and that's because we were peaceful when we met then. وَمَا تَنَاكَرَ مِنْهَا اخْتَلَفْ. And those who didn't like each other, when we see each other in this world, this person is not, subhanallah, may Allah forgive me. So we are going through that stage, and all of that journey is to go to Allah. It says, وَلَا مَقْصَدَ, and this is so powerful. Because we are today, we spend our day at school, at work, right? We spend our days doing different things, and we are in ghafla, in a state of what's ghafla in heedlessness. So we're not truly conscious of this purpose all the time until we remind ourselves. That's why we go back to Salah 5 times a day. فَفِيهِ النِّعَمُ كُلِّهِ. This is the greatest source of bliss. This purpose, knowing that you have this purpose, is where the whole bliss happens. وإن كان لا يعرف في هذا العالم قدره إلا الأقلون. Even though, after I've explained all of this, unfortunately, he says, only a few people know their purpose. A lot of people are searching, but don't know why they're searching. And this whole idea of atheism is something which is very new. It's like a'udhu billah, how far we have come. وإن كان لا يعرف والعلوم بالإضافة إلى سعادة الله سبحانه وتعالى. So what did we speak about? We spoke about the body, the vehicle, the purpose, and then where is the place of knowledge then? Then where is knowledge? He says والعلوم بالإضافة, and knowledge or the sciences is إلى سعادة. It helps us be happy. It helps us reach the happiness that will help us, that will make us meet Allah and to see His face. Knowledge is what helps us to attain that goal and finally to see His face subhanahu wa ta'ala. So النظر الذي طلبه الأنبياء ومفهومه دون ما سبق إلى فهم علوم المتكلمين على 3 مرات. So when the Anbiya speak to us about this knowledge, he's telling us, rahimahullah, Imam al-Ghazali, Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, he says they are in 3 levels. على 3 منازل. تفهمها بالموازنة بمثله وهو أن العبد الذي علق عتقه وتمكينه. Forgive me about this. I need to go through this. So all this journey is the simile, okay, of all of this is that the knowledge that the prophets have imparted to us. The simile of that knowledge is all within 3 levels, and he's breaking it in the following: أن العبد الذي علق عتقه وتمكينه من الملك بالحج وقيل له أن العبد الذي علق عتقه. So you're in front of a king, and you're telling him, please save me, let me go, let me free. Okay? الذي علق عتقه وتمكينه. He wants to be free. He wants to be his own king. The same as the person who is going to Hajj. How is that? إن حججت وأتممت وصلت إلى العتق والملك جميعا. أو الملكي. So I've had a problem with this. If you go to Hajj and you complete your Hajj, you do your tawaf, you go from scratch and you finish and you go back. What have you done? You have reached and you have become free and you have become the king as well. وإن ابتدأت بطريق الحج والاستعداد له وعاقك في الطريق مانع ضروري. What about if you had started to go to Hajj? You've gone through all that process, but something happened to you in the way. You have to, you have the rewards is there. He says, فلك العتق, you're free. والخلاص من شقاء الرق, and you're not going to be a slave. However, you will not meet the king. You will not be happy to meet the king or to become the king. فله ثلاث أصناف من الشغل. So there's three forms of works. He goes back and now he wants to give you the details of what you do in Hajj. The first thing that you do in Hajj is to prepare your camel and to the food and so on. In this world, in the 21st century, you work hard for a few years. If you're rich, a couple of months. You get your visa, you buy your tickets, and then what? والسلوك والثاني السلوك ومفارقة الوطن بالتوجه للكعبة منزلا بعد منزل. And then to leave your home, to leave where you live. And this is also very beautiful. When they say that preparing for Hajj is going to Hajj. Preparing for Hajj is part of the nostalgia of coming back and leaving it behind. It's so emotional. You're preparing to go to Hajj, and then finally you get on the plane, you leave your home, and you look out the window if you're taking the plane, and you're thinking about this, this beautiful inspiration. And then he says, the third part, الاشتغال بأعمال الحج ركنا بعد ركن. To be busy. Now you've arrived and you're busy doing the pillars and the sunan and the wajibat and the mustahabbat. You're doing the tawaf and you're helping the old man and you're drinking zamzam and you're making dua. Ya Allah, this is Hajj. I'm watching the Kaaba. I'm sticking my chest and my cheek to the Kaaba. I'm touching the black stone. Ya salam. This is actual Hajj. I'm right there. So you've arrived. So ثم بعد الفراغ والنزول عن هيئة الإحرام والطواف والوداع استحق التعرض للملك والسلطنة. Now you're befitted to meet with the king, and the authorities, or if this is where I'm having trouble understanding, or maybe here now you are permitted to be the king. When you are free, you are totally free. So this is where we are permitted to reach that station. وله في كل مقام منازل من أول إعداد الأسباب إلى آخره. So he says that everything, all this trip, all this journey was filled with manazil, with stations, and this is our life. So he's telling you that this is our life. ومن أول سلوك البوادي, right from you have left your town, إلى آخره. ومن أول أركان الحج, and starting from الميقات where you do التلبية and so on until you're done. وليس قرب من ابتدأ بأركان الحج من السعادة كقرب من هو بعد إعداد الزاد والرحلة ولا كقرب من ابتدأ بالسلوك. And those stations are not the same. He's just telling us that all of the stations, if you're able to rise and do them properly, the one that's before is not as good as the one that's after. And that's what Rasulullah used to do. Al-istighfar. The riwayah says, he also says, والله لإني أستغفر الله في اليوم 70 مرة. And in one hadith, 100 مرة. والله لإني أستغفر الله وأتوب إليه 100 مرة. في اليوم 100 مرة. وفي المجلس, in one hadith, one narration, in just one sitting, the companions used to notice that when he sits with them, just at one time, he would do 100 istighfar. The question is, why would the Prophet ﷺ do istighfar? Did he do any sins? He does not do any sins. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam is ma'soom. He's perfect. He's perfect. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam is free from any major sins or any even minor sins and even mistakes. They say that it's because every day he rises. Every moment he rises. Every time he raises in station. And when he raises, he makes istighfar for the one before. For yesterday. For the minute before. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this manazil, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Ibn al-Bar al-Qurtubi, when he speaks about the hadith, which says, سَوُّ صُفُوفَكُمْ فَإِنِّي أَرَاكُمْ مِنْ وَرَاءِ ظَهْرِ. This hadith, straighten your lines, for I see you behind my head, behind my back. Rasulullah is facing the Qibla, and he's watching the companions behind him. How is that? This is in Bukhari. This is in Muwatta. The hadith is sahih. Ibn Abbar Qurtubi says this came much later in his life. That means that he was raising in station. And he is raising in station even in his qabr. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In his hayat al-barzakhiyya. In his life al-barzakhiyya. He's rising. He's still rising. And he's in a perfect state. He's in a state, in every day Allah raises him. So the station in which you are in Hajj, you've just done tawaf, you've just left your home, the one that's after is better than the one before. That's what he's saying here. ومن أول إعداد where was I? وله في كل مقام منازل من أول إعداد الأسباب إلى آخره ومن أول سلوك البوادي ومن أول أركان الحج إلى آخره وليس قرب من ابتدأ برا كان الحج من السعادة كقرب من هو بعد في أداء الزاد والراحلة. That's what I just explained. ولا قرب من ابتدأ بالسلوك بل هو أقرب منه. And the one who has done and finished is even better than the one before. أما وما يتعلق بمصالح البدن في الدنيا. Okay, and then he says قسم يجري مجرى سلوك البوادي وقطع العقوبات وهو تطهير الباطن صفات وطلوع تلك العقبات. So he says in every time, so in all of those stations, like when you travel and you go up the hills and you go down and you're hungry and like the Prophet said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as-safaru qat'atun min al-adab, that traveling is difficult, is a portion of torture. That's every time you feel the difficulty, it not only removes your sins, but it purifies your heart. Something goes here, something goes on here. You'll listen. After I've spoken to you tonight, inshallah, and I ask Allah to give us Hajj soon this year, inshallah, and Umrah, many Umrah. Every time you go, you will experience something. You will feel something inside of you. Even when you travel, subhanAllah, what about Hajj? When you just travel, take the car and travel to Toronto and back, and you're with people and you feel something, because there's a benefit in travel. Okay. بل هو أقرب منهم العلوم أيضا ثلاثة أقسام. So he says, and in the same way, so we're talking about knowledge, of course. العلوم ثلاثة أقسام. قسم يجري مجرى إعداد الزاد. So this knowledge, there's 3 stages. So even the knowledge has 3 levels. The one that we've just mentioned, like preparing yourself, i'dad, buying the ticket and so on. And the other one, talab al-fiqh, is also part of it. Learning about Hajj is part of your journey. Learning about what you should do in your life, how to pray, how you do tahara and so on. That's why this is before al-ibadat. وَقِسْمٌ يَجْرِي مَجْرَى سُلُوك الْبَوَادِ. So the preparation is that, the fiqh, and the other one, which is the purification, is the portion that's when you travel. وقسم ثالث يجري مجرى نفس الحج وأركانه. So the one that's preparation, and the other one is you get on the course or the journey, and the third one is Hajj itself. So knowledge is the third part of knowledge is doing those actions of Hajj itself. وَهُوَ الْعِلْمُ بِاللَّهِ. When you are doing this Hajj, there are asrar al-Hajj. So this is, I guess, what he wants to come to, is when you do the ibadah of Hajj, this knowledge, you attain a knowledge which is the knowledge of Allah, knowing Allah. وَهُوَ الْعِلْمُ بِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Knowing Allah with His attributes, knowing His angels, and the actions of Allah. وَجَمِيعَ مَا ذَكَرْنَاهُ فِي تَرَاجُمِ عِلْمِ الْمُكَاشَفَةِ. And everything that we have spoken about in the knowledge of Mukashafah. Jazakallah khair. You should not have done that. Allah bless you. You know that the best sadaqah is water. The best charity is water. I was on a plane and I was thirsty, and I told the brother, he was a Muslim. He says, I told him, please, water. You know it's the best sadaqah? He says, really? So he brought me water, and I told him, Jazakallah. He says, Ameen, Allahumma jazini. Allahumma. He prayed for himself. He believed it. Well, Allah, it's true. So, Jazakallah khair, Sidi Nuh. So that's وهو العلم بالله تعالى وصفاته وملائكته وأفعاله وجميع ما ذكرناه في تراجم المكاشفة. He has another chapter which speaks about the Mukashafa. It's an incredible chapter by itself. Al-Mukashafa is to have all of these barriers lifted. I told you before that one of my first books that I read after back from Medina is Mukashafat al-Qulub. Mukashafat al-Qulub. And in one of the chapters speaks about Laylatul Qadr. And he says that some people, they see angels in front of them. Others, they see angels under the throne. This is Al-Ghazali. You have any complaints, you can go to Ghazali, rahmatullah alayh. I believe it. وَأَمَّا الْفَوْزُ بِالسَّعَادَةِ. So all of this has to do with becoming happy, with reaching bliss. You remember the story of Ali Yasir, how they suffered? The companions that were mistreated, the people were killed. Do you think they were sad? I think they were very happy. They were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu migrated with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, "Shariba النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم حتى ارتويت." He has drunk until I got satiated. When he drinks, I feel it. Being with the Prophet ﷺ is, listen, if we're lucky to see him just once, you will be a different person. See the Prophet in your dreams once, ﷺ, you'll be a different person. You'll feel happiness, the real happiness. It's like if Allah says, I've accepted you. And a lot of these scholars, like Imam Malik, as you all know, Imam Malik, his teacher Ibn Munkadir, Shahab al-Zuhri, Shafi'i, Abu Hanifa, trust me, these people used to see Rasulullah ﷺ every night. As-Sayyuti saw him every night. These people saw Rasulullah ﷺ all the time. And they would say, if I don't see him in front of me, I would count myself as a hypocrite. So all of this mukashafa is to attain ها هنا نجاة وفوز وسعادة. So there's three results, three rewards. The first one is najatun. I'm safe. I've arrived. I'm really there. وفوز, success. You feel like a sense of ecstasy. والسعادة, beyond ecstasy, like you are truly happy. You know, I was telling a brother just 2 nights ago, because Dr. Ali Sadi passed away. You know Dr. Ali Sadi, rahmatullah alayh. He was a scholar. You know, I'll tell you about him, inshallah. Remind me. He was truly a scholar, and he was a wali I think he was a wali, he was a alim. And so I told the brother, Allahumma rzuqna husn al-khatima. Ya Rab. And he says, brother, why you worry? Every night we go through al-khatima. Every day we sleep, we go to, our souls are taken to Allah under the throne. So that night is supposed to be khatima. If you make sure that your day is done properly, and you have a good khatima every night, you have a good khatima. You just do your day, make sure your every day is concluded with, is sealed khatima beautifully. So there's 3 levels. Najatun, this is the reward. Najatun wa fawzun bis sa'ada. وَالنَّجَاةُ حَاصِلَةٌ لِكُلِّ سَالِكٍ الطَّرِيقِ. So we have safety, najatun, and we have sa'ada. As for the safety, everyone will benefit from that, but the sa'ada happens to the one that reaches. So he says that the one who's stopped in the middle of the trip, the journey, he will be safe, but he doesn't have the same sa'ada as meeting, going through the Hajj. After all, that's what I really wanted to do. But if you don't do that, and you don't reach the same level of bliss. وَأَمَّا الْفَوْزُ بِالسَّعَادَةِ فَلَا يَنَالُهُ إِلَّا الْعَارِفُونَ. And for this beautiful level of bliss, of happiness, only the عارفون, العارفون بالله, are those who know Allah, and they are those who are very, very, very close to Him. وَهُمُ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ الْمُنَعَّمُونَ. Those who are close to Allah in His jiwar, very, very close to Him with their soul, and they are in the Jannatul Na'im. And what's that verse? فَأَمَّا إِن كَانَ مِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ وَجَنَّةُ النَّعِيمِ. Exactly. فَأَمَّا إِن كَانَ مِنَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. As for those who are very close in this dunya, inshallah, in the hereafter, and even here, like Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah used to say, that those who do not feel or taste Jannah in this world, they will not taste it in the hereafter. This is from Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayh. So if you reach that station of al-arifina billah, then you are really happy. You are in Jannah. And if you taste that here, inshallah, you will taste it in the hereafter. فأما إن كان من المقربين, and so on. وأما إن كان من أصحاب اليمين فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين. As for those who are not, who have taken the path, but they have not reached, they're not very, very close, they're still, they will still have that happiness, but not the same happiness as al-muqarrabun. And this, he says, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ هَذَا هُوَ حَقُّ الْيَقِينِ عند العلماء الراسخين. And this is the true, and this has nothing to do with what Allah says in the Quran, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. So some people say, I've reached al-yaqeen, okay, I don't have to do salah and siyama. That's not true. This al-yaqeen here is al-maut. In the Quran, when Allah says, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ, worship Allah, follow the sharia until you die. If you have not died, you're still alive, and you should follow the sharia. You should continue praying, you should continue making wudu and obeying the sharia of Allah. But here's talking about al-yaqeen. Haqqul yaqeen is a station of the ulama al-rasikhin, of the awliya. We ask Allah, He makes us of them. It's such a station of certitude that you are so at peace, so much at peace. And we've mentioned the story before. One of the great ulama, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, or Sufyan al-Thawri, was traveling in the desert, and he met a man. He met a man sitting on the rock, and he was so thirsty. He told him, what do you want? You want a drink, right? He says, what do you want to drink? Water, milk, or something else? He says, just water. Where do you want to drink it? Like, he gave him all these choices. He says, just in my hand. So he hit the rock, and the water gushed out of the rock. So Sufyan ibn Uyayna, or Sufyan al-Thawri, looked at him in dismay. He says, why are you so dismayed? If you obey Allah, everything obeys you. If you obey Allah, if you truly obey Allah, Allah will obey you. And one time, Al-Hasan was waiting for his salary from Muawiyah, radiyallahu anhum jami'an. He was waiting for, and it's a large amount which he doesn't keep for himself. He shares it. Sayyidina Al-Hasan, Al-Hussein, and Fatima were extremely generous, and the other Ahl Bayt as well, and the companions radiyallahu anhum. So he called his secretary and told him, start writing. He said, no, stop. And I told him, bring the ink bottle and the pen. And then he decided not to write. So he went to bed and slept. And he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Says, what were you going to write? Why did you bring that pen and ink bottle? He said, I was going to write to Muawiyah to tell him to send me what is due to me. He says, you have Allah, and you're asking Muawiyah? Ask Allah. The one who asks people doesn't trust Allah. So he woke up in the morning very happy because he's trusting Allah. And that day he received his salary from Sayyidina Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And the scholars have spoken about how you should not trust people. You should have tawakkul in Allah. Whatever you want in your heart, it's Allah who gives. It's Allah who gives. So ask Allah and have trust in Allah that He will give it to you. Have good opinion that Allah will give it to you. If you have the good opinion, you will see the result. Allah will give it to you. So this is, this level of haqqul yaqeen is something that inshallah we ask Allah to give it. What is this meaning? What does this mean? واعلم أن هذا هو حق اليقين عند علماء الراسخين أعني أنهم أدركوا بمشاهدة من الباطن هي أقوى وأجلى من مشاهدة الأبصار. He said that they were able to perceive with the perception of their hearts, okay, which is very powerful. The perception of the hearts is much more powerful than the perception of the eyes. وترقوا عن حد التقليد لمجرد السماع. And they have raised themselves from حد التقليد. So if I tell you, listen, you should pray. Okay, Salah is five times a day. I explain to you the pillars and so on. What happens here? You're hearing me. You're learning the theory. Okay. وحالهم حال من أخبر بصدق ثم شهد فحقق. It's fine. You can hear it, but then when you see it, you become sure. You become certain that that's how it's done. وحال غيرهم حال من قبل بحسن التصديق والإيمان ولم يحظى بالشهادة والعيان فالسعادة وراء عين المكاشفة. So they're looking from inside. So they're seeing it. خلاص. If I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you that if you trust Allah, you will get it. Okay, you will get. You ask Allah and you trust Him, you will get what you want. You heard it from me. But what if you experience it like Al-Hasan did? And he saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a dream. That's different than me telling you, than you hearing it or reading it. It's experiencing it. And at one point in the book, Abu Hamid Ghazali says, rahimahullah, he says, all of this will not help you. All of this theory is not sufficient. It will not allow you to rise. He says, what will help you rise is being with al-awliya, is being with those people so that you can benefit, that you can experience it firsthand. And the awliya don't have to make to give you miracles. I'm not talking about miracles. I'm talking about being in their presence and feeling them, reminding you of Allah. Being with someone who feels Allah reminds you of Allah. That's and without telling you anything, you learn from him. You learn from her. That is the al-mukashafa, which is from the heart and not from the ears or the eyes. So how are we doing with time?
You have like 38 more minutes.
Okay. Anyways, so the entire book of Imam al-Ghazali, and we were just talking about al-Wadhifa, the 10th characteristic of, okay, so we had 10 characteristics of al-ilm. We've only covered one. And then I want to speak to you about the next page speaks about بيان وظائف المرشد المعلم. The job, okay, I'm going to put it in simple language. The job of al-murshid al-muallim, not just the teacher, but the one who helps you towards the path, towards the understanding, the one who guides you. Al-murshid is the guide,
Like a spiritual guide.
a spiritual guide, okay? And then he's addressing the murshid himself, al-muallim. Okay, so he's telling the muallim how you should be. And the muallim is a human being. He also makes mistakes. He's just as weak as all of us. But he has reached a level because he spent all his life teaching, learning from his mistakes, learning from his teachers, and now he's at a level where he's teaching. So he's telling us what are the characteristic of someone who is a spiritual guide. اعلم أن الإنسان في علمه أربعة أحوال. He says, know full well that in the person in his knowledge, so we're still talking about knowledge, he's got four what's أحوال? States. Just like someone who is going to earn money, someone who wants a job and pay for his rent and stuff, he also has 4 states. So what are they? It's very simple. Imam al-Ghazali puts this in a very, very simple language. So he says the first one is صاحب الحال صاحب المال حال استفادة فيكون مكتسبا. So the one who has a job, alhamdulillah, and he's earning money. He's just earning. He goes to the job, he punches his card, he gets a check, alhamdulillah. The second one, حال الادخار لما اكتسبه فيكون من به غنيا عن السؤال. حال الادخار, what does that mean? لما اكتسبه فيكون به غنيا عن السؤال. This one has earned enough money to invest, and now he has a return from his investment, and he's not asking anybody. He's just sitting down and getting the money. It's coming to him. Okay? وحال إنفاق على نفسه فيكون منتفعا. And the other one who works, or he has a source of income, and he spends it on himself, so he's benefiting. He's reached a level where he is earning and benefiting. وحال بذل لغيره فيكون به سخيا متفضلا. And the one who has now more than he needs for himself, and he spends on others, and so he becomes like someone who has virtue, who is virtuous. سخيا, generous and virtuous because of that. وهو أشرف الأحوال أو أحواله. And that's the best and most honorable state. Because you don't ask anybody. You're your own king. You're independent. You make the money. You're sitting and you're making the income and you're helping others. It's beautiful. So it's the same with the person who's earning. The first level is the person who's sitting and learning how to write, and then he learns the basics of language and mathematics that we go through. All of us, we go through, and then a long history of university and so on. And then, so you're learning, and then you're starting to make some money, and you're investing it. I guess this is how I see it. And then you've made enough, you've learned enough so that's the second one, you've learned enough for you to do what you need to do. Okay, that's fardu ayn, remember? Fardu ayn. So you know how to do wudu, alhamdulillah. I know how to pray, alhamdulillah. It's good, beautiful. And then you've learned enough to ponder, to think, to see things. You're not benefiting others yet, but you're able to absorb things deeper. There's you understand the secrets of that and this, subhanallah. Knowledge has opened your mind. And then, what does he say here? وحال تبصيري وهو أشرف الأحوال وهو, and then he says, and the one who shares it, وهو أشرف الأحوال, the scholar who's giving, who's sharing, that's the best person, who's truly sincere, who's not doing it for anything except for Allah, who wants to save everyone from hell. He loves the good for you before he loves it for himself. This is the إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. فمن علم وعمل وعلم, so the one who learns and works, he works, وعلم فهو الذي يدعى عظيما. So the one who is able to learn, practice, and then share, he is the great. He is the العظيم. هو العظيم في ملكوت السماوات. Not just in this world, but with the angels, with Allah. He is written as someone who is great. فإنه كالشمس تضيء لغيرها وهي مضيئة في نفسها. So he gives you a lot of beautiful similes. He's like the sun. He's like the misk. He's not just beneficial to himself. The sun is beneficial to itself and to others. The misk is beautiful in itself and to others. And that's what he speaks about here. So what is al-wadifa al-ula? What is the first character of a teacher? Of a beautiful muallim, a guide who loves for others more than what he loves for himself? Is to have mercy to his students. الشفقة على المتعلمين. and to treat them like they're his own children. And there's a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, this hadith is, al-Iraqi, I have do you have a tahqiq al-Iraqi? Al-Iraqi? Yes, but you have the tahqiq. Yeah, so the famous muhaqqiq, the famous authenticator of the hadith in Imam al-Ghazali is Imam al-Iraqi. He's a great faqih and a great muhaddith. And he gives us the tasheeh of this hadith. So the hadith says, إِنَّمَا أَنَا لَكُمْ مِثْلُ الْوَالِدِ لِوَالِدِهِ. I am to you like the father to his son. Okay? In fact, he says that this guy, this teacher, is to you like the one who, like he is the one that saves you. Your parents, our parents have great virtues, fadlun azim over us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that, He has commanded that we should not worship except Him, and to be excellent to our parents. Parents have a lot of virtues that we have to honor, but He says that our parents are like those, are the ones who save us from the hardships of the world. Okay, they put a roof over us. They protect us from the physical problems, but the teacher is the one who saves you from the hellfire. He's the one who saves you from the dangers of the hereafter. He's showing you how to be a better servant of Allah. Inshallah, the parents as well. But and he speaks about the father and the mother as well, even though he says al-walid. So he says, وَلِذَلِكَ صَارَ حَقُّ الْمُعَلِّمِ أَعْظَمُ مِنْ حَقِّ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. Let's take this very seriously. He says, and that's why the teacher, he has more rights over us than the parents. If we truly understood the virtue of the murabbi. Today we have destroyed it in every way. Even those who believe in tarbiyah and then murabbi, the students betray their teachers, and even those teachers sometimes are charlatans, and it's very difficult to conciliate between all of that. But we have destroyed this concept of al-murabbi, the person who guides you. So if you find someone who can teach you and guide you, respect them, because they have more rights over you than your parents. That's what they want you to be safe from all of those problems. والمعلم سبب الحياة الباقية. So the parents سبب الوجود الحاضر والحياة الفانية. They are the cause of your presence and this world which is passing. As for your teacher, he's the cause for your eternal life. And the students are brothers. They're the children of that teacher or those teachers. And those students, when they become sincere, they don't fight with one another. They don't compete with one another. Who compete with others? Which brothers compete with one another are the children of the dunya. Those who are jealous of one another. If, he has something and then that's why the brothers of the akhirah are living in Jannah. And Jannah is eternally vast. And the brothers and the sisters of the dunya are tight. They can't live. They can't breathe. It's killing them. That dunya is killing them. I want it. So the children of this great Murabbi make you live in Jannah and in a place which is very, very vast. That's why Allah in the Quran says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. You are truly brothers and sisters. You live in a beautifully vast world of bliss and abundance. You know how they say in those, what they call those? They speak about abundance. If you truly have abundance and feel abundance, then you will not be jealous and be unhappy. And it also said, الأخلاء يومئذ الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم لبعض عدو إلا الأخلاء. On that day, the closest ones, الأخلاء, the closest, most bosom companions will be enemies of one another, except المتقين, those who have taqwa. And then the second wadifa, the second purpose or job, characteristic of this teacher, he doesn't ask any money. He doesn't ask any reward. Or what happens if you have teachers in the Muslim world who take a salary? Is that a problem? Or the Imam? No, it's not a problem. I mean, how is he going to pay for his? That's why in the beginning, when the Khulafa in the Umayyad later on, they started to give a lot of money to the teachers in the masajid, so that students could learn. And those teachers, when they took money, they shared it. Abu Hanifa was very rich, extremely rich, and he wore the most beautiful clothing. He was like a king. He wore like a king. But he didn't spend more than 2 riyals in a month on his food, in his family. He didn't care about the money, but he made the money. And whatever he got, he shared with his children, with his students. He shared the money with, that's how they were, the ulama. And others, they weren't as skilled as Abu Hanifa, rahmatullah alayh. They took money from the khulafa, from the governors and so on. Imam Malik, near the end, as we spoke about this before, that his madhab was to accept presents, as opposed to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So in his madhab, he would accept money presents from anyone who would give him. So he was very well off. And Imam Shafi'i came to his house and he says, what is this? Have you changed? Like his face was saying that. Lisan al-hal. He says, what are you trying to say? These things are all yours. Take it. He gave them everything. Alhamdulillah. So, like I said, here he's saying that it should not be for the purpose. It should not earn anything for. Should not want any worldly rewards from it. He says, وَلَا يَقْصُدُ بِهِ جَزَاءً وَلَا شُكْرًا. His purpose in teaching is not to be even thanked about it. Or he gets to a point where, I want everyone to stand up. Come and kiss my hands. And in Maliki, Sidi Ahmed Zarruq in the Sharh of Risala, he has his opinion is that kissing hands is not recommended, but later on in the Islamic culture it is permitted. It's permitted as long as it's not like he says even the father and his children. But I say that you should kiss the hands of your parents. Did I tell you this before? If you're lucky to have parents, okay, alhamdulillah, may Allah bless them and have them, give them a long life. You should get into the habit of kissing their hands every time you come home. You go home. Kiss their hands. And I usually wait a few months before I say, kiss their feet. I think you should kiss their feet too. Wallahi, they deserve total humility. Your parents deserve all the humility. And Sidi Ahmed Zarruq, he says, it's because you don't want that to come to your head. You know, but that's why Sidi Sheikh Abdullah al-Haddad, when I kiss his hand, anyone who kisses his hand, he would not allow him except he kisses it back. And he says, you know what? It's going to go to my head, so let me kiss yours. So it's someone who teaches should not even expect any of that. No kissing, no thank you. He's really doing it in his heart. He's doing it for Allah. It's totally for the sake of Allah. So it says, ولا يقصد به جزءا ولا جزاء ولا شكرا بل يعلم لوجه الله تعالى وطلبا للتقرب إليه. Imagine, inshallah, when you're all teachers, when you're great, beautiful, respectable, and honorable, and knowledgeable teachers, you do it only for the sake of Allah. And when it's sincere, it spreads. You know, why is the madhab of Imam Malik so widespread? Of Abu Hanifa, we call them, the scholars call those madahib, those four madahib, al-madahib al-mubarakah. You know, other scholars were more intelligent and more knowledgeable than those four schools, but they are the madahib al-mubarakah. You know, they in the days of Imam Malik, when he was writing al-Muwatta, and it took him 40 years. It started with a huge book, and then he took it down to less than 1,000 hadith. There were others that were collecting a hadith. Why is it not here today? And they were calling it al-Muwatta. So there is like a story about al-Muwatta'at. There's a lot of Muwatta around, but they never made it to us. And he says, if it's for the sake of Allah, it'll survive. And his was for the sake of Allah, and it survived. So inshallah, if you're purely sincere, inshallah, it will reach out, inshallah, and you will save others, and it's only for the sake of Allah. لازمة عليهم, and he gives us the proof from the Quran. وَيَا قَوْمِ لَا أَسْأَلُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ مَالًا إِنْ أَجْرِي إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ. This is in Surah Hud, and I think it's when Sayyidina Nuh spoke to his people. Sayyidina Nuh alayhi salam, he says, Ya qawmi, I'm not asking you any money for this, for all this teaching, okay? In أجري إلا على الله. فانظر كيف انتهى أمر الدين إلى قوم يزعمون أن مقصدهم التقرب إلى الله, and so on. He speaks about some of these people who are not sincere in their purpose. And the third wazifa, how much time do we have?
19 minutes.
And the third wazifa, we'll try and finish the whole wazifa inshallah بإذن تعالى. ألا يدع من نصح المتعلم شيئا وذلك بأن يمنعه في التصدي لرتبة قبل استحقاقها والتشاغل به. أن لا يدع من نصح المتعلم شيئا وذلك بأن يمنعه من التصدي لرتبة قبل استحقاقها. Okay, this is very simple, very easy. He knows he knows his students and he knows their levels, so he doesn't want them to read to go to another level before he. I don't want you to do like a chemistry 303 before you finish, or 301 before you do chemistry 101. You really have to take it step by step. You have to be easy. Let's not do usul, please. You don't start there. Okay. والوظيفة الرابعة وهي من دقائق صناعة التعليم أن يزجر المتعلم عن سوء الأخلاق بطريقة. So he teaches his students to have good manners, but he does it with رحمة, بطريق الرحمة لا بطريق التوبيخ. Whatever he teaches his students, it's with mercy. So he cannot be harsh. Like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was very kind, very, very merciful, very compassionate with everyone. You know that story about that we mentioned in the Sirah last week, when the Imam ibn Thalaba came from his people, and he was a Badu, and the Bedouins are very harsh and they don't know how to, they're not soft. So he came in and he was heard from outside, very loud. They did not even know what he was saying. And he even told the Prophet ﷺ, إِنِّي سَائِلُكَ فَمُغَلِّضٌ أو مشدد فلا تجد في نفسك شيئا. I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to be tough. So don't let it hurt. He knew about himself. So let it get to your heart. And Rasulullah told him, سَلْ مَا بَدَلَكَ. Ask whatever you want. سَلْ مَا شِئْت. And when he was done, because of his rahmah, because of his beautiful way, he says, أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. They were, everyone that came to him, لو كنت فظا غليظ القول لانفضوا من حولك. If you were harsh, they would not have stayed around you like this. So, and the fifth وظيفة and characteristic of the المربي أن المتكلف ببعض العلوم ينبغي أن لا يقبح في نفس المتعلم العلوم التي وراءه كمعلم اللغة. So here's something that what happened today, happens a lot and has happened, is if I'm teaching a lugha, I don't like fiqh because I'm so philosophical and I can prove this with my own science, I start putting down the people of fiqh. And the people of fiqh do the same thing with the people of hadith. And the people of hadith do that with the people of fiqh. All of that is very, very negative in the hearts of this is not tarbiyah. So you have to respect all the sciences. All of these sciences deserve to be respected. The sixth وظيفة is أن يقتصر بالمتعلم على قدر فهمه. Like they say in Arabic, عامل الناس على قدر فهمهم على عقولهم. You deal with people at the level of their understanding, of their minds. And there's a hadith, in fact, that sounds like that. And this hadith is, what's the takhrij ya Sayyidi Nuh? It's in Abu Dawud as well. Okay, it says, نحن معاشر الأنبياء. The Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, نحن معاشر الأنبياء أمرنا أن ننزل الناس منازلهم. We, the prophets, have been commanded to treat people according to their own stations. Okay, you have to respect. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when the old woman came to him, and how did he test her iman? She says, "Where Allah?" She didn't say anything. She's like that. Khalas, you're good. That's your shahada. You're done. Where's Allah? She did like that. She did not even speak. So نزل الناس منازلهم ونكلمهم على قدر عقولهم, and we speak to them according to their intelligence. Someone who does not know al-madhahib, I do that often. Someone comes to me, he knows nothing about fiqh. I say, ask in the Maliki. No, don't say that. Just give the answer. And when you listen to the fuqaha online, the true fuqaha, they don't say the dalil. They don't say the dalil. Unless they're speaking to tulab al-ilm. Unless someone is a student of knowledge and he says, the dalil is this. And my teacher said, Ahmad Rashid Ruhaili from Medina, he says, and when you ask the question, don't say, what's the dalil? He told me the fatwa. Yeah, Sheikh, what's the dalil? Don't ask the dalil. And I asked him once, I was at Hajj, and I called him, I had a question, Sheikh, so and so, and he says, well, the answer is this. I said, but I read that. Listen, he said, listen, when you ask a mufti, you ask him because you trust his knowledge and his iman. Okay, you trust his knowledge. What's the second word? I forget. Wara. Yes. Yes, his علمه وورعه. You trust those two things. So when you give the answer which is simple, or according to the knowledge of that person. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, I've posted this on Facebook. It's a beautiful saying. He says, can we say Ali alayhi salam? Can we say Fatima alayhi salam? Okay, this is the manhaj of Sayyidina al-Bukhari radiallahu anhu, rahmatullah alayh. When he speaks about Ahlul Bayt, yes, it's permissible. There's differences of opinion. Also, we can say radiallahu anhum. And here he says, قال علي رضي الله عنه وأشار إلى صدره. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he said, and he put his finger on his heart, فلا ينبغي إنها هنا لعلوما جمّا. There is a lot of knowledge here. ولو وجدت لها حملة. If only I knew who would carry it. That means he's not sharing everything he knows. And Imam Malik spent a lot of time with his teachers like Al-Munkadir and Shahab Al-Zuhri, and he tells us that there's a lot that I have not shared with you. Even those scholars the students were real scholars, could not grasp and absorb that knowledge. It's a lot of knowledge that cannot be absorbed. And he says, فلا he says, what is this? وقلوب, he says, قلوب الأبرار قبور الأسرار. That's a beautiful saying, that the hearts of the pious is like the grave of the mysteries. فلا ينبغي أن يفشي العالم كل ما يعلم إلى كل أحد. It doesn't make sense that a scholar should say everything he knows. It doesn't make sense. It's not practical. One should not do that. And then there is a beautiful quote here. Someone came to a scholar, and the scholar did not want to answer the question. So the student told him, don't you know about the hadith, من كتم علما نافعا جاء يوم القيامة ملجما بالجبل من النار? Didn't you know that the person who what's that word? Withholds knowledge, he will come on a day of judgment shackled with chains of fire. He told him, leave the fire, اترك اللجام, and go. واذهب. If someone who is faqih, who has fiqh, comes and he asks me a question, جاء من يفقه وكتمت فليلجمني. Let him shackle me. In other words, if someone who has knowledge comes and asks me that question, I will answer him. I have no problems. And the proof in the Quran is وَلَا تُؤْتُوا السُّفَهَاءَ أَمْوَالَكُمْ. Don't give your money to those who are sufaha. They will waste it. They will not do it. So you have to find the right person to give that knowledge. And there's two more characteristics. الوظيفة السابعة أن المتعلم القاصر ينبغي أن يلقي إليه الجلي اللائق به ولا يذكر له هذا تدقيقا. The teacher has to make sure that he teaches what he knows. He doesn't feel that he is kamil, his mind is complete. Now, I don't know everything. The teachers don't know everything. Scholars don't know everything, except, of course, some scholars throughout history that were really masters of all the sciences. But those who don't know a specific science should not speak about that science. He should leave it aside. The eighth وظيفة أن يكون المعلم عاملا بعلمه. That the teacher does what he says. He should do what he says and not otherwise. Because he says لأن العلم يدرك البصائر والعمل يدرك الأبصار. Al-ilm, like we said earlier, knowledge will interact with your eyes. Yes, al-ilm, whatever you teach and you speak, whatever you write on the board is something which will reach your eyes. وَالْعَمَلُ يُدْرِكُ sorry. العلم يدرك بالبصائر والعمل يدرك بالأبصار. So العلم يدرك بالبصائر والعمل يدرك بالأبصار. So knowledge is understood by with your mind, and the actions are absorbed with your heart. So if you see someone doing something, then it is, it is accepted. I think I'm getting tired here, so I'll stop inshallah. And that was the last anyways. I will stop here بإذن الله تعالى. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. And there are a lot of proofs in this, very clear, very logical. So mashallah, alhamdulillah, jazakumullah for your patience and for listening. May Allah make us benefit from what we hear. Ameen. Allahumma salli wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi.